right? Or will it think of us as interesting because we're a different kind of intelligence and therefore want to cooperate, as seems to be the lesson coming out of the chess world at the moment, where the combination of a human being and even a fairly mediocre laptop is better than anything else, better than the best human being, better than the best machine. Right? So at the moment, when something really big like that hits, IR doesn't have anything to say. This has been on the agenda of IR for some time because it's been there, as it were, ever since the invention of nuclear weapons and the possibility of an obliterative nuclear war. Right? So the IR literature goes up to that point, thinks a little bit about the war itself, and has absolutely nothing to say about what comes afterwards, because you just get this huge branching. Right? So I couldn't do this exercise any other way, and within a span of a couple of decades in the future, I think this is reasonably safe. But as I said, I'm sticking my neck very far out. Okay, one more? Sure. Who's doing this? Okay, we haven't had a lady. Let's have a lady.
Thank you very much. American scholar has written a book called World in Disarray. So your post-Western world order, comparatively speaking with Western world order, is it more orderly or disorder?
It's probably both, because whether it's orderly or disorderly will somewhat depend on your point of view, in the sense that the Western world order, and it's good that you mentioned there's an American literature on this, which is almost all looks upon it as a catastrophe, right? Because it's the fall of American power. So what the American literature is worried about is a disorderly world in which no longer reflects American values as much as it did. That's not a good thing from most American perspectives. So they will see this as less orderly. On the other hand, those who have seen themselves as being under the thumb of Western power, and in some sense resistant to it and oppressed or exploited or dominated by it, they're going to see this as in some sense liberating. But at the same time, they're going to be confronted with a whole set of problems that, well, if the West isn't looking after the global order, who is? Right? To which the main answer in my scenario is nobody, unless we are a bit careful about this, because there isn't an obvious successor here. The distribution of power doesn't point to a successor. The idea of more cultural and political diversity doesn't point to a successor. We're looking at a genuinely pluralist world, and we've not been there before, so there's a lot of unknowns about this. And as with, I don't know whether this is true in Asian cultures, but in Western culture, there's a strong tradition in fairy tales about stories that concern wishes, that you make a wish, but somehow your wish goes wrong and it doesn't turn out like you expected it to. And I rather think that that's what's going to happen here, that all of those who've been wishing for an end to the Western order have now got their wish, but it doesn't look like what they thought it was going to, and will throw up a new set of problems that have to be solved. So I think orderliness or not depends very much on where you stand politically and culturally in relation to this transition. And I think we should end on that.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's one more time dedicate our applause to Professor Guzan. Thank you so much, Professor Guzan. Thank you.